my name is Peter. I can't forget this story because it was the most terrifying weekend of my life. My girlfriend Mia and our two close friends Alex and Jordan had planned a getaway. We rented a secluded cabin by a lake, Blackwood Lake. It was somewhere outside of Portland. Mia found the place on a website. Most of the reviews were positive, but one caught my attention. If you stay here, don't go outside at night. It seemed like a joke. Who writes something like that? But now, I wish we had taken that warning seriously. The first day was amazing. The cabin was right by the lake, surrounded by trees, with a beautiful view. The water was still, the air was warm, and the sun reflected off the surface. We swam, went canoeing, and had beers by the shore, laughing and joking. As night fell, we lit a campfire. Music played, drinks flowed, and we had no idea what was about to happen. The lake was too quiet. No birds, no insects, just the unmoving surface of the water. It felt like something was watching us. "Is this normal?" I asked. Mia laughed. "You're overreacting." But her eyes drifted back to the lake. She was uneasy too. Jordan got up. "I'm grabbing another drink." He went inside. Then, a noise at the back door. Alex frowned. "The front door is here. Who knocks at the back?" I stood up, looking toward the lake. A shadow slipped between the trees. I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me. I blinked, but it was too dark to be sure. Jordan opened the door, his voice shaky. "Guys, did I just see someone?" We grabbed a flashlight and shined it at the trees. Nothing. "Probably an animal," I muttered. But no one answered. We sat back around the fire, but the fun was gone. Something was out there, watching. The next morning, Mia went for a walk along the lake. Minutes later, she returned pale as a ghost. "Guys, come here, now." We followed her. By the base of a tree near the water, footprints, bare, human. They led from the woods toward our cabin, then back again. "These aren't ours," I whispered. Jordan let out a nervous laugh. "Maybe an animal." Alex stared at the ground. "Animals don't have feet like this." No one laughed. As the footprints got closer to the cabin, they got deeper, like something had stopped. Stood there, watching. "What the hell?" I muttered. Mia whispered, "Let's go inside." Her voice was shaking. That afternoon, we sat by the shore. The air felt heavy. The sun was setting and the lake had turned pitch black. "Did I just see something?" Mia whispered, pointing at the water. A ripple, but there was no wind. I turned my head, something in the lake. A shape, humanoid, motionless. I shined my flashlight, and the moment the beam touched it, it vanished. No splash, no sound, gone. "Did you see that?" I asked. Mia shivered. "Yes." We ran back to the cabin, locked the doors. Alex was furious. "Someone is messing with us." Jordan shook his head. "Dude, this isn't funny. We're leaving tomorrow." But we wouldn't last the night. Night fell. Everyone was asleep, but I couldn't rest. Then, a loud knock at the door. My eyes snapped open. I nudged Alex. "Did you hear that?" He was already awake, holding his breath. Then, the same sound from the back door. Then the side window, then upstairs, then everywhere. I was about to piss myself. This wasn't a person. Alex and Mia held their breath, frozen in place. Then, silence. For a moment, nothing happened. But then, the doorknob started turning. Jordan lunged at the door, throwing his weight against it. "Something's trying to get in," he screamed. Alex ran to the kitchen, grabbing a knife, and then the windows rattled. My eyes darted to the side, and I saw it. Something was looking inside, but it had no face, just black, smooth, empty. My body froze. I couldn't look at it for more than a second. I turned my eyes away, and then it smiled, a face with no mouth. I barely looked at it, but I knew it was looking at me too. Mia whimpered, clinging to my arm. "Where do we go?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The car," I said. Jordan stood in front of the door. "If I open this, we run, but that thing might be faster," he said. But we couldn't stay. Mia, Alex, and I grabbed the car keys and moved toward the door. Jordan took a deep breath and yanked it open. And when he did, nothing was there. No person, no footprints, just pure darkness. But something was missing. The lake. The entire body of water was gone. In its place, just land. "We're screwed," Alex muttered. Then a sound from inside the house. Doors opening, one by one. We bolted outside and ran, but the noises inside followed us. I threw the car door open. Mia and Alex jumped in. Jordan was nowhere. Panicked, we looked around. No sign of him, no sound. We couldn't wait. I turned the key. The engine wouldn't start. We screamed. As I kept turning the key, a sound came from outside the window. Slowly, fingerprints started appearing. Mia couldn't breathe. Her eyes were locked on the rearview mirror. And then, the engine roared to life. Hours later, when we reached the first lights of town, we stopped. We were covered in dirt and sweat. No one spoke. Finally, Mia whispered, "Where's Jordan?" Alex swallowed hard. His expression was empty. He said Jordan was never with us, but I remember him. I know he was there. A few days later, Mia checked the website where we found the cabin. The listing was gone. All the reviews were erased. The owner was unreachable, as if the place had never existed. But under the car seat, we found Jordan's jacket. My name is Colin, and I'm going to tell you about the most terrifying day of my life. We had planned a weekend trip to a small, quiet mountain town. We wanted to escape city life and relax in nature. It was me, my girlfriend Laura, and our two friends Sam and Rachel. We had booked a room in an old but charming hotel in the town center. It only had 5 rooms, run by the same owner for years. It was warm, nostalgic, and inviting. On our first night, while sitting in the hotel lobby, we met another couple named Tom and Lisa. They were also on a weekend getaway like us. We chatted, had a few drinks, and talked about the hiking trails nearby. Lisa was talkative, while Tom seemed a bit reserved. But the strangest part was how they had found out about the hotel. "Did you book online?" I asked. Lisa hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "Not exactly. A friend recommended it." When I asked which friend, they changed the subject. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the next morning things started getting strange. When we came down for breakfast, Tom and Lisa were nowhere to be seen. Their table was empty. "They drank a lot last night. Maybe they're still asleep," Rachel said. The elderly waitress brought our coffee and asked, "Are you waiting for your friends?" "Yes," I said. "I think they're still in their rooms." The woman frowned and asked for their names. "Who?" "Tom and Lisa. They were sitting here with us last night." She tilted her head slightly. "There are no guests by that name staying here." At first, I thought she was joking, but she looked completely serious. My eyes darted around the dining area. The table we had sat at was still there, but the glasses they had used were gone. Rachel and Sam exchanged nervous glances, then laughed awkwardly. "Come on," I said. "They were here last night." The waitress kept staring at us, then whispered, "There's never been a Tom or Lisa staying here." A chill ran down my spine. Maybe they left early this morning, I thought. But then I noticed something odd. Their car was gone from the parking lot, and I hadn't heard anyone leave during the night. Sam and I went to the reception. The hotel owner, an older man, was behind the counter. "What room were Tom and Lisa staying in?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly. "There was no couple by that name staying here." My face tensed. "What do you mean? They had dinner with us last night." The old man narrowed his eyes. Then, slowly, he opened the hotel register. He flipped through the pages and pointed. Their names weren't on the list. That night, we all went back to our rooms feeling uneasy. Maybe we had too much to drink. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. But just as I was about to turn off the lights, a piece of paper slid under my door. Slowly, I bent down and picked it up. There were only 3 words written on it. Don't look for them. My heart clenched. I rushed to Sam's room and showed him the note. We called Rachel and Laura. We all thought the same thing. Someone is messing with us, but this wasn't a joke. Because Rachel had found the same note under her door. Frustrated, I stormed down to the reception and showed the paper to the owner. He looked at the note, then at me. Then, without a word, he took the note, crumpled it, and threw it in the trash. I turned around, and that's when I noticed something that made my skin crawl. In the lobby, there was a large board displaying the names and departure dates of the hotel guests, but Tom and Lisa's names weren't there, as if they had never been at the hotel at all. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Sam and I went to the town's police station. We asked if there had been any guests named Tom and Lisa staying at the hotel. The officer hesitated. Then he leaned over his desk and typed something into his computer. His expression changed. "These names sound familiar," he said. Then he turned back to the screen, typed a few more things, and squinted at the monitor. Slowly, he turned back to us. His face was cold as ice when he spoke. "Tom and Lisa went missing from that hotel last year." Sam and I looked at each other. The officer frowned and shut the file. "If you're saying you spoke to them last night, don't look for them again." He placed a paper on his desk. There was a photo on it. An old picture of Tom and Lisa. Across the top it read, "Missing, 2022. After that, we didn't ask any more questions about the hotel. We packed our bags and left in a hurry that morning. But one last thing. As we got into the car, I looked up at the second-floor window of the hotel. Tom was standing there, staring at us. But the curtains were closed. And just before we left, there was a new checkout record on the hotel's guest board. Our names. And next to our departure time, written in shaky handwriting, were 2 words. Very soon. Hello, my name is Thomas. We wanted to spend a few days in nature. My wife, Olivia, her cousin, Mason, and I decided to go camping, far from the noise of the city. They spent nearly an hour convincing me. In the end, I gave in. We went to camp by a small lake. It was a remote place, far from well-known hiking trails and with hardly any people around. The first day was fun. I remember thinking, I'm glad I came. But in the morning, when we woke up, we saw something that hadn't been there before, a tent, but it wasn't ours. It hadn't been there last night, and it looked exactly like ours. Same model, same brand, same color, but our tent was right behind us. Where had this identical tent come from? Mason asked. Did someone come here last night? But the place was silent. There were no footprints, no sounds. Olivia said, maybe it was already here, and we just didn't notice it. But that wasn't true, because the tent's zipper was open, and there was something inside. We slowly approached. Mason bent down to look inside, and then immediately stepped back. His face had gone completely pale. He said, our belongings were inside the tent. I looked inside, and he was right. My backpack, Olivia's wallet, Mason's flashlight. The problem was, our backpacks, wallets, and flashlights were inside our own tent. They weren't supposed to be here, but the worst part, there were things in the tent that didn't belong to us. An old notebook, an open can of food, and a camera. Olivia, trembling, picked up the camera. Mason said, don't turn it on, but Olivia didn't listen. She pressed the button. The screen lit up, and what we saw made our blood run cold. The footage showed us. It had been filmed at night. Me, Olivia, and Mason, sitting by our tents, around the campfire, but we had never recorded that. This video had been filmed by someone watching us. Olivia quickly skipped to the next video. This one was recorded after we had gone to sleep. The zipper of our tent slowly opened, and a pair of hands reached inside, quietly taking our belongings and placing them inside the other tent. But whoever was recording wasn't visible. Finally, the person holding the camera turned it toward themselves, and the face on the screen was mine. But I hadn't woken up that night. No one spoke. Mason took a step back. Olivia nearly dropped the camera in fear. I felt something shift inside me. My stomach turned. I kept thinking, when was this recorded? Olivia, still trembling, tapped the screen. There was one more video, and this time, it had been recorded while we were sleeping. The camera was positioned just outside the zipper. Someone was watching our tent from the darkness. We couldn't see their face, but we could hear them breathing. At the end of the footage, the screen slowly faded to black, but just before it shut off, the zipper of the tent began to open, and then the video cut off. We backed away from the tent immediately. No one screamed, because we felt that if we did, we would draw more attention to ourselves. Mason whispered, "We need to get out of here." But when we looked toward the forest trail, we noticed something. The path we had come from was the only way in, but now there were 4 or 5 separate paths. Or had we entered from a different place? But how was that possible? Olivia, scanning for an exit, suddenly stiffened. Her voice shook. "I see someone." We immediately turned to where Olivia was looking. And yes, there was a shadow in the trees. It wasn't moving. It was just watching us. But I couldn't tell how far away it was. At times, it seemed close, then distant again. Mason, shaking, reached into his backpack and pulled out a knife. "We can't stay here," he muttered. At that moment, Olivia's voice cut off. Her eyes were locked onto the tent. "Look at the tent," she whispered. We turned, and there was something inside. Shadows were moving inside the tent, but there was no sound. It was as if everything inside the tent was in a different world. When they noticed us, they all stopped at the same time, and the zipper of the tent slowly began to open. That was when we ran. We ran deep into the forest. Mason shouted, "Don't stop!" But I glanced back at the tent one last time, and I saw it, a face peering out from inside. But it wasn't a face. It was a mask, pitch black, empty, and I had seen it before. In the last frame of the video, we didn't stop running until we reached our car. We locked the doors, started the engine, and drove away as fast as we could. But inside the car, I noticed something. Olivia was still holding the camera, and on the screen, there was a new video file. We didn't open it, because after we left, that camera had kept recording, and whatever was inside it, we didn't want to know.